Breaking up with Daniel was very difficult. Wanted to be my first race. I always have a soft spot for him. Yeah.
Former professional racing driver, the co-owner of United Autosports, and the CEO of McLaren Racing. Please welcome Zak Brown. How you doing?
I'm good.
Drive to Survive. Do you like your portrayal in the show?
I think it portrays everyone pretty accurately.
Signing the F1 Academy superstar
Bianca.
Bianca. Why is that important to you personally?
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what gender you are. You're a McLaren racing driver. Lando hadn't been challenged by his teammate in the last couple of years on a regular basis.
I think Oscar could really blow the competition away.
Oscar's keeping Lando on his toes. We were golfing, and Netflix was there. Got an eagle.
And they didn't put it in the show.
They didn't put it in the show.
We got that clip.
We'll put it up for you.
Henny, I've really been loving NordVPN.
Really? Why is that?
And I was thinking about it. I'm going to tell you 3 reasons.
Okay. Not five?
Not 5, not
Okay.
4,
Damn.
3.
All right.
Number 1, I don't get pop-up ads anymore.
Okay.
Like
That's
you get them.
Stop it. Don't expose me like that.
I'm sorry. Number 2,
Yep.
it's pretty cool that my data is protected everywhere I go. No matter where it is, whether it's the Netherlands, whether it's Monaco, whether it's Vegas.
Yes.
My data is protected. I can actually go online and feel secure.
Wow. That's amazing.
But finally, the best part.
one more.
The best part.
Okay.
It doesn't matter where I go. My friends and family, doesn't matter where they go. NordVPN is so fast. Over 5,600 servers around the world.
Jeez.
And it's ultra fast to be able to get online, get your work done, and get off.
Wow. And you know what? I'm going to add another one. We love watching TV.
We do love watching.
And look at that. All the shows that we can't access in different countries, we're able to access and enjoy, especially with all the traveling we do in this podcast. I don't know how it would survive without NordVPN.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah. NordVPN has a special offer for our subscribers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal using our link below at nordvpn.com/tracklimits. It's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Head over to nordvpn.com/tracklimits and get your
Hey everybody, welcome to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. We're here in Sonoma, California, far away from hometown Canada. But we're here at Velocity Invitational with an incredible guest. I mean, where do we even begin?
What part of Canada?
Toronto.
Maple Leafs fan?
Oh, big Maple Leafs fan.
Blue Jays fan?
Not
Yeah.
a Blue Jays fan, no.
Montreal Canadiens for me, hockey.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Whoever's winning.
That works.
Are you a big hockey fan?
I love hockey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's your team?
Kings.
Okay.
And the Islanders.
That's fine. We all make mistakes.
And the Devils in that order.
Okay.
Yeah. Dominic Hasek used to be one of my favorite goalies.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
American businessman, former professional racing driver, the co-owner of United Autosports, and the CEO of McLaren Racing. Please welcome Zak Brown.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah,
good.
weekend is a pretty fun weekend for you, I would imagine.
Great weekend. Great
Yeah.
track. Great cars out here. And
you're-
lots of friends.
Yeah, and you were mentioning you were just on track, no? Doing some
I
laps?
was out in my Can-Am McLaren
Okay.
M8D,
Wow. Yep.
and then I've got a Williams FW07
Wow.
that Alan Jones won the championship in, and it was my earliest memory of Formula One.
Oh, that's amazing.
Do you get nervous driving those cars a little bit? Like,
Not nervous, but you don't want to crash one.
Yeah.
because they're not very safe, and you
No.
need to rewind that you're in 2023, but you need to kind of then go back. Actually, I'm back in 1980,
Yeah.
and the track's not the safest track.
Does look fun though.
We break up our podcast into Q1, Q2, Q3. We're going to see if you can get through all qualifying stages today. Let's start with, what does the day-to-day life for Zak Brown look like? Just tell us honestly. Like, what are you doing?
It's very
every day?
busy.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yep.
And all the days are different. It depends whether it's a race week. Depends what day of the week it is. If it is a race week, constant travel. I spend most of my time on the kind of commercial marketing side of the business, as opposed to the technical side. I don't have much to add when it comes to aerodynamics and downforce. Just my job is to make sure we've got the right people in place and they have the right tools to do their job well, which they're doing a great job. And every day is kind of a different adventure. I think the only commonality is they're all pretty manic.
Yeah.
And how's this end of season going for you guys now? What's the day?
There really is no end of season. I mean, I guess it is. It's end of season from a how many races are left on the calendar, but every day's flat out.
Yeah.
And, the end of the season, you're also gearing up for next season.
Yeah.
So, I'm asked often, what's the off season like? And there isn't an off season. There's just cycles to the business. And, we've got 2 races to go.
Yeah.
Aston had a strong race in Brazil. So, 21 points I think they got 25 points at the weekend, fortunately. Lando had a great race. But, so all we need is a double DNF and them to have another good weekend. So we got to close the deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm confident we
got it.
can.
Yeah.
But you go into a street race, anything can happen in kind of turn 1 there. And but excited for Vegas next week. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be a show.
It's going to be cold
awesome.
as well.
Yeah.
It'll
from what
definitely be cold. Bring your jacket.
Yeah, so it should make for an interesting race.
Honestly, taking you back to the beginning of the season, I think for a lot of people, you had a tough time with McLaren and the first few races. What was that switch for you guys to go from mid-season to like turn
unfortunately,
around?
it was more than a few races.
Yeah.
It was almost kind of the first half of the season. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all the men and women back at McLaren did a fantastic job taking what was a 9th quickest car, which is slow, to giving us, kind of from Austria, Silverstone onwards, which pretty much been the 2nd quickest car, and just getting stronger. And the upgrades we put on in Austria on Lando's car, and then ultimately both cars in Silverstone were awesome. And then the upgrades again in Singapore worked great. So the development that the team's done, and there's so much that goes into it. It's not just the design; it's then the manufacturing, it's then putting it on the car, making sure it's reliable, make sure it works. So it's a huge team effort. Even things like our pit stop, we broke the world record there with the 1.8 second stop was 1.8, 1.8 was awesome. But again, team effort, right? You kind of go pit stop. Team did a great job, which of course they did. But then you got to design equipment, manufacture equipment to be able to allow the team. Then you have the different departments that contribute to that, the commercial department, the finance department. So everything in Formula One is a big team effort.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were talking a little bit about kind of you focusing more on the commercial side, and partnerships and sponsorships are a huge part of that world. Also for us, so if anyone's listening, this is the space we're in. But you've amassed some of the biggest sponsors like DP World, Chrome, Salesforce. How do they contribute to the overall success and just the day-to-day?
In 3 different ways. Our technical partners deploy their technology with our racing teams, so they make us go faster. So whether it's Dell Technologies and the servers that we're using around our CFD, whether it's data around Splunk or communications around Cisco, so they're all technically involved in the team. So that makes us go faster. Then on the kind of consumer brand front, the Coca-Colas of the world, they help us reach tens of millions, hundreds of millions of fans. Some of them are currently our fans. Others are Coca-Cola fans that they're able to turn into McLaren fans. And without huge fans and great fans, there is no motor racing. And then, of course, they are all big financial contributors to help us to be able to afford do wind tunnels, the 2 best drivers, the best technicians. So we can't go racing without our partners, and I think we're very fortunate that we've got the best group of partners in the business.
And I think what's cool too is any fan of Formula One is probably excited by the driver lineup you guys have, because you guys have 2 incredible drivers, but they're so young. You look at any other driver lineup, you're typically pairing a veteran with an exciting young rookie or sophomore. I'm curious for you, what do you think Oscar brings that Lando doesn't necessarily have yet, and vice versa? Because they are different drivers in some ways as well.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily they bring something different, but Lando hadn't been challenged by his teammate in the last couple of years on a regular basis. And I'm great, on a side note, great to see Daniel doing so well at AlphaTauri, because he's a great guy and won me my first race. I always have a soft spot for him. But I think Oscar's keeping Lando on his toes.
Yeah.
I think the benefit is they like a very similar race car, so we're getting constant, consistent feedback from the 2. Last thing you want to do is have 2 drivers that one says they have understeer, the other says they have oversteer, and then kind of what do you do? So I think we're benefiting from having two very fast drivers that are very technical, and we do have an experience in a rookie. It's just our experienced guy happens to be pretty young.
Well said.
Yeah. And is there anyone in F2 and F3 or any in the junior program that have caught your eye and say, I think we want to invest in that?
Gabriel, the Formula 3 champion, is we just announced not long ago that he's part of our young driver development program. So he's going to be in Formula 2 for the first time this year. So he's clearly caught our attention. Ugo, who's a bit younger, a few years behind. He's doing great, winning a lot of races. So he's part of the family. But because we have two young drivers, we don't want to have too many young drivers stacked up, because if all goes according to plan, we kind of won't have room for them. So some of the teams have rather large academies, 10, 12, 15 drivers. We want to kind of have 2, 3, 4 that are at different stages of their career. So if a window of opportunity presents itself, we've got someone ready.
Yeah. And you've also recently announced signing the superstar, the F1 Academy superstar, Bianca. She's fantastic. We've been following her journey as well. What is that? Why is that important to you personally and overall as a team?
Well, D&I is very important to us. About a little over 20% of our workforce is underrepresented. We want to double that by the end of the decade. And, we'd love to see, I think anytime you have diversity in your racing team, whether that's race, gender, whatever that may be, religion, geography, I think you get a much more well-rounded view on life, because people have looked through things in a different way. So, if you have 10 people all saying the same thing, unless they're all saying the right thing, you kind of want to hear some different perspectives. So it's great to be supporting her. She's now another McLaren racing driver. And when the helmet goes on, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what gender you are, you're a McLaren racing driver.
That's fantastic.
And you've been quite vocal in your support for Mario Andretti, in terms of getting another team potentially to join Formula One if it is the right team that can provide value to the overall sport. I'm curious, obviously it's a mixed opinion right now, it seems, in the paddock when it comes to bringing another team in. What are, in your opinion, the pros and cons of bringing a new team into F1?
The pros is they can help grow the pie. That pie can be fans, first and foremost. That could be television revenue. That could be increased exposure in a certain market that helps you bring in more sponsors, excitement on the racetrack. The downside, if you'd like, is if the pie doesn't get larger, and then you're just divvying up the same size pie. And that's where I think the majority of the teams are. I think all of us are not that informed on what the actual proposal is, so everyone is kind of running around with an opinion. And I've not seen specifically what's on the table. So my view is, as long as it's additive to the sport, brings in more fans, brings in more revenue, brings in better television contracts, whatever that may be, it makes the pie larger. I'd rather have 1/11 of a pie that's 1,000 times than 1/10 of one that's 100 times. But ultimately, the teams don't have a vote in the matter, so we just need to be dependent upon Formula One and the FIA to make that decision as to whether they feel it's additive. So I think everyone has an opinion, but not anyone is that educated on actually what the proposition is.
Yeah. And outside of F1, let's move into IndyCar. Arrow McLaren just wrapped up their season. We think they had a great season. Gavin Ward just got appointed as the new team principal. What's the goal for 2024 for you?
Win the championship and win the Indy 500. And, we were real close on the Indy 500 this year. I think we had two cars that could have won. And unfortunately, that didn't work out with about 10, 20 laps to go. We were close the following year. So, I think we're a threat to win Indy every year. And then, competing for the championship. I think we were 4th this year, 4th, 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that. And we've had a very fast car, but it's very competitive. So, unlike Formula One, where we've been on this journey to get back to the front, we have everything we need to win the Indy 500 and the championship now. We just need to execute.
Perfect. Final question of Q1. We asked our community on Instagram to put questions that they wanted us to ask you. And @MattAmies on Instagram said, "You have so much cool stuff in your office. What is your favorite thing in your office?"
My favorite thing in my office? That's a good question. A couple things. I've got Monsieur Oger's last pass. Monsieur was one of the owners of McLaren, and I think I'm shrinking.
Yeah.
There you go.
And brought me into to McLaren along with Sheikh Mohammed. So he was a legend and a great family. So that's a prized possession. Maybe not the first thing people would think of, because it's not worth much other than to sentimental value.
Sentimental, yeah.
And then beyond that, I've got Senna's 91 McLaren MP46, and so I've got a scale model of that. And Senna was my favorite racing driver. So anything Senna
epic.
tends to be kind of one of the favorites in the room. But it's filled with. I've got a little Mario Andretti section. Got some United Autosport stuff. So everything in there is kind of placed in there for a reason.
Brilliant.
Beautiful.
Henny Fevin, purple, yellow, green.
I think that's a purple sector. He
Very-
had a few
very
laps
much-
already,
very
a warm up, so
It's
he's in
purple.
it.
Purple all the way.
You're through to Q2, Zach.
All right, Q2. Here we go.
We'll see
Okay.
how you do in just a second.
Michael, I've been going to the gym lately and doing this challenge, and my trainer keeps telling me that I need to snack less or snack better and add more protein into my diet, which is so hard.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right. So that is when I discovered Kudo with popcorn. Guys, I brought you some.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Yes. Okay, so they have these amazing flavors. Garlic parmesan. You've got the white cheddar here, and Swish, you have my favorite one.
Salty, sweet kettle corn.
Let's go.
Sounds amazing. What's the deal?
So they are so healthy. They have 70 calories per serving. They're whole grain, 100% keto friendly, and I get about 10 grams of protein per serving.
Oh wow. I'm amazed how our favorite snack is now even becoming even tastier and healthier.
That's right. And for a limited time only, our listeners get an exclusive 25% off discount when they use the code TLIMITS at kudosnacks.com. That is 25% off with code TLIMITS at KUDO snacks.com. Save some money, support the official protein popcorn of Track Limits, and get popped.
You should have some. It's really good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow. It actually tastes like nothing. It's really good.
So good.
Very good.
Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're here with Zach Brown. To Q2, we're going to now get into a couple more personal questions, Zach. So I want to take you back as a kid. Were you always into motorsport? Were there other sports that you were captivated with growing up?
Baseball and ice hockey. Baseball first, and racing I got into in 1981 when I went to the Long Beach Grand Prix. Williams won, Alan Jones won.
Yeah.
So mentioned earlier I'm driving his car, but
Yeah.
that was the year before, but they look identical. And that's when I kind of fell in love with motor racing. Then my family would take me to Riverside International Raceway, watch the NASCAR race, the IMSA Camel GT race. I'd go to the drag races at Pomona. And so I did that for quite some time. And then I got into racing in high school. In the 87 Long Beach Grand Prix, I met Mario Andretti and asked him one question, which was how do you get started? He said, karts. There happened to be an ad in the race program, Jim Hall Kart Racing School, and that's how racing got started. But baseball was my first love, then motor racing, then ice hockey.
Wow. And reflecting even on your racing career, what was the most memorable moment, and what did that even teach you as you transitioned to a CEO position?
I think the best race I ever drove in was Sebring. We finished second, 98, I think it was. And they double, triple stinted me at the end and kind of changed the driver lineup because I was doing very well, which pissed off one of my teammates. So that was quite good.
Yep.
You kind of share things equally, and then at the end they put in who they think's doing the best job, and we had a great result, and the car was sweet. So that was a great race. Finishing fourth at the 24 Hours of Daytona with Martin Brundle and Mark Blundell and Mark Patterson was a great result. And that was fun racing with Brundle and Blundell because I kind of grew up watching them race. So that was a bit of a can't believe I'm racing with Mark Brundle. So that was cool. Yeah. those are probably the ones, and then maybe New Hampshire, my first ever oval in Toyota Atlantic. I had a great teammate and replaced Mark Dismore, and had a great run and beat my teammate, and that was it's always fun beating your teammate.
Yeah, of course.
And talking about like going from a driver into a CEO, do you still get the adrenaline, I guess, rush?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And when you don't, do you?
Yeah,
then race?
kind of the start of the race. I think my nerves are exactly where the driver nerves are.
Yeah.
That turn one, because anything can happen for good or bad, and so that's that. But then kind of settle down once you get out of turn one.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of share the heart rate with the drivers, kind of know what they're going through.
And then on your off time, you go on the
I
track.
come out and do it myself.
Exactly. That's so epic.
Yeah, and like as a CEO, decision making is so crucial. What were some tough moments that you had to experience in probably even the last few years?
Probably the hardest one, because it was also new to everyone, was during COVID, furloughing, which was not a term I'd even heard before. Sending effectively 1,000 people home.
Wow.
I don't remember exactly if it was without pay or very reduced pay, but that was uncharted territory for all of us. So that wasn't even something where you could call and ask advice to a mentor and go, "What did you do when this happened?" I was like, "Well, it's never happened before." So I think that was brutal. Breaking up with Daniel was very difficult. Love Daniel, and great guy, and it just didn't work out. But that wasn't the master plan. So that was a very difficult situation, especially something like that's very public, and then everyone has their opinions, and 99% of them don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. So to kind of get accused of certain behaviors where they're not informed. I mean, that's the nature of the beast when you're in
So much fanfare,
in a
buzz.
spotlight, and everyone's got an opinion, but they don't have the facts. So that was very difficult. Running any business is difficult, but you ultimately get used to it.
Of course. Yeah.
And then obviously Netflix's Drive to Survive has made pretty much everyone in F1 a global celebrity. And then I bet you probably see the fanfare. Do you like your portrayal in the show? And what do you think about the show overall?
I think the show's great for Formula One. It's done amazing things. I think it portrays everyone pretty accurately. And I think it's great that it shows people kind of how the sport works off the track. I'm fine with, I'm very critical of myself. So when I see something, I wish I would have done that differently or that differently. But I think they kind of capture everyone for who they are. And it's just done wonderful things for the sport. So long may it continue.
Yeah, especially in the younger...
Yeah,
the younger audience?
It's brought in a younger audience. It's
Female.
brought in North America, and it's brought in females.
Yeah.
And if you kind of said, what does Formula One need to do to grow? Those would have been your top three in any particular order. And so Netflix, I think, has been a big contributor to all three of those.
Of course. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then at the heart of things, obviously you're an entrepreneur outside of F1. What other businesses and investments do you have that people maybe just aren't aware of?
Well, I've got United Autosports. As you can see here.
We had Phil Hansen on the pod.
One of my drivers.
Yeah.
So that's a passion. I partners with my best buddy Richard Dean, and that he runs it. So for me, it's just pure enjoyment to have a team. We won Le Mans. That was pretty awesome. The team's been gotten much bigger and much more successful than kind of what started off as just being a GT3 one car GT3 Audi team. So that's a big part of my spare time, which I don't have much spare time on. And then I like to get out and play baseball and ice hockey and golf. Good. So I prefer sports over the gym as far as getting any sort of exercise. and focus on the kids that are both now at university, and
That's awesome.
lots of dogs running around the house.
Are they going down the motorsport route?
No, they both enjoy it, but
Yeah.
neither of them have any desire to kind of be in
Yeah.
the business. Or
Yeah.
Max, the younger of the two, did a little bit of driving, and I think he enjoyed that. But unfortunately, if you want to take motor racing seriously, it's a full-time job
Yeah.
from about the time you're 8, and
Yeah.
and it also requires the parents
Buy-in.
kind of being full-time at it,
Yeah.
and so that was never gonna work. So I like that they enjoy it, but they can do whatever they want to do. But I don't think motorsports will be on the list.
Yeah.
Good for
Could
that.
you tell us a cool story about how you and Tony Kanaan became friends?
Yes, Tony. We were
Yes.
talking about it earlier. So
Yeah.
Tony and I were teammates. I think it was 94. He thinks it was 93.
We'll fact check that
in
one.
in what was called the Nations Cup, which were 2 drivers from each nation. So I was representing America, he was representing Brazil, and there was an Italian team, a French team, etc. And so we were in the same team, even though representing obviously 2 different countries. He didn't speak a word of English. As he says, he barely speaks English now. And he wanted to come race in Indy Lights. So we had a very short conversation, which pretty much said, me, Indy Lights. It's like I couldn't get much beyond that, but he was mega fast. We did agree that I beat him because he broke in the race, but he was faster. And we raced at Zandvoort together. And so I've known Tony for that long.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Final question of Q2, going back to our community @_Jolo. Very cool username.
Yeah.
What is your pre-race ritual as a team principal? Any pre-race rituals that you have?
Really just with the drivers. I make sure I talk to them both before they get in the car the final time. Make sure I give them a fist bump right before qualifying. That's probably the only thing.
No secret handshake.
No secret handshake. Lando, I tend to joke around with. He's quite relaxed, as is Oscar, but I like to get a good laugh out of Lando. Really to just kind of try and help relax him. I don't think he's wound up, but just kind of take the edge off a little bit, because I know the adrenaline's going. So I think if you can get in a joke or two and just get him to have a little bit of a smile, or just bring the RPMs down a little bit.
Is he always that calm and collected, Oscar?
Yeah.
Just
Even
even outside camera.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
what you see is what you get. Really, with both guys.
Yeah.
And they're both pretty chilled, but they're killers once the helmet goes on.
Oh, let's go.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
Purple?
I think that's
Oh, yeah.
purple.
All righty.
Smooth.
Blitzing through.
Yeah.
2 Q3 potentially provisional poll coming for Zach Brown, but we'll have to see after the rapid fire round. Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button right now. We really are excited about the community we're building. We have a lot more content we want to share, and we'd love for you to be the first one to find out about it. Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We are now entering the final round, the rapid fire round, where we're going to give as many questions to Zach Brown and see if he can answer them with fire and hopefully in a rapid manner.
Perfect. Let's give it a go.
Perfect. First question. What regulation change would you institute into F1?
Since we have the budget cap, I'd like to see the regulations open up and not be so restrictive, because we have a cap. So, if you want to go test instead of being a wind tunnel, go test. If you want to do more wind tunnel time, do more wind tunnel time. If you want to put 6 wheels on the car, put 6 wheels on the car. So I think the cap kind of stops people from overspending. So I think, therefore, if you really want to see a lot of different cars, open up the regulations in general.
I don't think we've had that one.
I agree with that.
Which driver would you allow to drive you around blindfolded? They're blindfolded, you're in the car.
Fernando Alonso.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
The greatest driver of all time, in your opinion?
Oh, that's easy. Senna.
I thought you'd say that.
A past F1 driver that you would have loved to work with if given the chance.
Oh, definitely Senna.
'Kay.
Never met him. I'd love to have met him.
Okay. If you had to choose another sport to be a team boss, what team would you be drawn to?
St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Baseball.
Nice.
Definitely.
Okay.
I like it.
What's the most over-asked question that you get?
Most over-asked question.
That one.
No, I haven't been asked that one. I think you stumped me.
How do I become a
Nice,
driver?
We got him.
How do I become a driver? Well, it depends who's asking the question and what it's about. Probably sponsorship. You know, how do you get sponsors? And it's like, well, been doing that for 30 years. It's hard to answer that in 30 seconds.
Should like give a masterclass because I would sign up.
I would
Yeah, we need to.
Hard work is the answer.
Yeah,
love that.
there you go.
Max Verstappen said he's against sprint races. He feels like it takes away from the glamour of a Grand Prix. Yes or no? Do you agree with him?
I don't think they take away from the glamour of Grand Prix, but I do think we need to, which we are doing, look at the format. I think you'd say on the whole, they haven't been quite as exciting as they can be. So whether that's reverse grids, whether that's mandatory pit stop, whether that's a super, super soft tire that goes off halfway through the race, I think we do need to do something to mix up the race.
Yeah. What would you like to see in the sprint races?
I think a mandatory pit stop would be good, and I think if we had super soft tires that deliberately went off halfway through, and you then had to decide, do you change, do you not change? I think, you know, that would be a way to kind of condense a mini Grand Prix and make it, because right now there's no strategy in a sprint race. You just sprint. So I think that would be interesting.
Nice. And funniest moment you've ever had with Lando Norris that nobody knows about?
Funniest moment with Lando Norris. I've had a lot of funny moments with Lando.
You can embarrass him too.
Yeah, I can't. I was gonna say, Chloe, do I have one?
Not funny, but I think you probably loved the moment where you got the hole in the golf hole in one.
I had
sorry?
an eagle. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, it's golf. Yeah, he thinks he's better than me at golf. He's not.
We need this challenge.
So what happened? You got it.
We were golfing, and Netflix was there, but they actually didn't show up. But they sent me the clip afterwards, and we were playing with Justin Rose, the professional golfer, and got an eagle.
And they didn't put it in the show.
They didn't put it in the show. They
You
said
can send
was
it
a
to us.
golf show.
We'll
Can we
blend
get
it
that
in.
clip?
we'll put it out for you.
What piece of F1 memorabilia would you like to own or currently own?
What I'd really like to own is a car that won Le Mans. When I look at my car collection, I've got cars that raced at Le Mans, but I have Indy 500 winners and Monaco winners, and being a fan of the Triple Crown, having a Le Mans winner would be cool. And then Fernando gave me his helmet from the Indy 500, and that was pretty monumental when we made that decision to take him into Indy the first time in 2017. So that's pretty cool. But anything the drivers gave me, because then there's a kind of meaning behind them.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes or no? Are you a fan of new races being added into the calendar?
I am not a fan of the calendar being beyond 24 races. I'm a fan of rotational races, so we can be in, call it 18 permanent races, and then maybe 10 where you rotate every other year. So I think we do want to expand the calendar, but everyone's tired. We're tired now. So I think we do need to expand, but you have to do that in a rotational manner because there's just not enough weekends left.
Yeah. What Grand Prix you think has the best atmosphere on the calendar?
Montreal's always my favorite.
That's awesome.
It's a great race. I mean, there's so many great races. Austin's unbelievable, and Abu Dhabi and Singapore, and of course Monaco. So it's a long list of the exciting races. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Montreal.
Awesome. Most embarrassing moment you've had in a Grand Prix weekend? You yourself.
In a Grand Prix weekend, was I thought I had my watch stolen in Japan.
Okay.
And they take theft very seriously there. And I reported it. And police got involved, and it was like a murder scene with how serious they took it. And then the people at the hotel were understandably pretty upset that there could have been theft. And, of course, that's where they thought, who stole it? And I found my watch.
Where did you find it?
In my suitcase.
The one place like everyone's
I
like,
hid
check
it,
in your
but I hid it for
suitcase.
myself.
When I lose things, check underneath your bed.
That was embarrassing.
Final few here. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly.
I love that. Yep. Same here.
Perfect. All right. Last question here. This is, if you're stranded on an island, what 3 F1 drivers or team principals would you have with you?
No team principals. Definitely not. Mika Hakkinen.
Okay.
He's fun.
Hey.
I'll stick away from the new guys. Well, Senna. I
Okay.
never met Senna. And Mario Andretti.
Wow. Boom.
Alrighty.
Let's go.
That was the purple, I think.
Yep.
We're clear.
I mean,
Pole position.
That
for Zach
embarrassment
Brown.
story was enough.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a
really
mistake. Sent a bunch of merchandise.
There you go.
To wrap up, Zach, our final question to every guest. Your legacy, when it's all said and done, I mean, you've done so much for the world of motorsport, but how do you want to be remembered as an individual?
The first team boss to win the Triple Crown.
That'd be epic.
I've only got 3 race wins to go.
I love it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Guys, we'll put Zach's socials below. We'll put the McLaren socials below. Go and check them out. Thank you again so much for coming on. We really
Yeah,
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks for having me.